Today's video, I am going to come back to a fly that I've done before. A lot of people consider it a garbage fly, and so do I, but I'm telling you what, if you've never indicator fished, I have just gotten into it. It is the most fun you can ever use clothes on. I have never seen anything like it. I used to go catch my limited trout, and I'd call it a day. I never really stayed and worried about numbers or anything like that, and I still don't care about numbers. But it's amazing how underneath an indicator with one of these stupid flies, you can flat annihilate him. I have a buddy who's a guide. He's a phenomenal fisherman. I've never seen anything like it. He can outfish anybody, anywhere, every single time with one of these things. Now, he also makes some that are made out of Chanel baby blanket yarn. They're called like a mega worm, I think is what they call them. A lot of people call them mop flies. They have two total different actions, but I'm going to show you guys basically both things, but I want to show you some improvements. Now you can see this little guy here. This is a traditional tied one, and I'm going to tie one in a second, but you can see how it dangles up off the hook, and the hook is just there, and them trout, they'll come feed, and sometimes they'll hit this, and if they're not real aggressive, they won't get the hook. So I'm going to show you guys how it was tied and some of the modifications that I've done to it. Now this fly is super popular because this is how easy it is. It is a 1/80th ounce jig head secured in the vise. Then they take their thread and they secure a thread base. And they take a piece of microfiber and they tie it in. When they get it tied in, they whip finish and cut. And that's pretty much how everybody ties a mop fly. So I'm going to show you guys some improvements, some things I've done to the mop fly that I really think make it better. So what I do is I start out with my jig hook. Now I powder coat all my jig heads, so they're all powder coated. I think it's more durable. So the first thing I do, with the way they're tied traditionally, a lot of times after you've casted them a while, you can go out and the fly will start to slide up and down because it doesn't secure very well. So what I do is I take some clear fingernail polish. You can use super glue, head cement, clear fingernail polish, however, whatever. I put that little bit right behind the hook. Once I get that done, I'm going to wrap my thread. I'm going to build a pretty good thread base. And by doing that thread base like this, that keeps it from sliding up and down the hook as bad. Makes them way more durable. And use good hooks, because if you use a good hook, this thing will last forever. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take me a piece of wire. That is lead, not wire. Grab the wrong pipe. I'm going to take a piece of wire, which just makes me feel a little bit better for two reasons. One, it makes the fly a little more durable. Second, it makes the fly where the mop dangles down to where your bites don't get away. And third, it makes me feel like I'm actually tying a fly just a little bit more. I struggle with the fact of tying on a piece of mop and calling it a fly. So once I get my wire tied in like that, I'm going to take my mop. Now, I don't want my mop real long. I kind of like them shorter. A lot of times the ones that I've used or I've seen other people tie, the tail dangles out far, and it gives a good action, but you miss a lot of bites. So I cut mine down a little bit shorter, and once I get that tied in, I'll bring my wire just a little bit. I want that to dangle a little bit, so I'm going to take my wire, let me get that thread out of the way, and I'm going to wire wrap this body, which makes it a little bit tougher, but it keeps that piece of the mop tied in. So once I get that down, let me get my little wire scissors. Once I get that tied in place like that, you see how it's now dangling down. Well, this fly floats kind of head down, so when the trout come to bite it, they're going to be able to go in, and they usually will get the hook. I get way more bites with just that. The next thing I want to do is I use some UV Sparkle Chanel, and I feel that that adds a little bit of more character, a little bit more color, and fish do see UV spectrum a little better than we do. So it just makes it a little bit more buggy. So all I do is I take some of that, and I'm just using a green. You can use whatever color you want. and I spin it on my thread, and you can see it's pretty loose. Like I want it to be pretty dangly and buggy. So I tie that on, I pull it back, and then anytime I tie flies for myself or anybody else, I'll do 2 whip finishes. So if one ends up fraying, the other one doesn't. As such. And once I get that part done, I take and I do my head cement. And I just rub that all the way down the thread. Now with this fly, you are going to see it is tied down on that hook. So you still have the action that you want, but the hook is encased onto that mop. You get way more bites. You set way more bites. With the other one, you're going to have a lot of hits that you're not able to set because they're just feeling on that mop, where this way it keeps that from happening. Now, with that said, we have the other version. Total different fly action that a lot of people use. But a lot of people group them into the same fly, and they're not. But anyhow, I'm gonna tie them just as such. So what this is basically, it's called baby blanket yarn. And it's just a fine chenille. You can get this at any craft store. You can get it at Dollar Tree, Walmart. Lots of places have it. Fly shops all have it. It's kind of the new thing. And you can see this has way more flopping around to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, just like we did before, we always want to, anytime I do a good thread base, I always want to glue it down. I got a little bit too much there, but it does not matter because the more you have, it's going to bind all the materials in. It's an extra step. It slows things down. So a lot of times when you buy commercial flies, this is not done because it slows the process down, and they're into making money on the amount of flies they can get done. So it's a good step to get into on these flies. So all you do with this fly, same difference. Then a lot of guys will leave this and they'll cut it and it'll look just like that, which is great. It flops around and it does good. But a lot of times if you're not getting your cast all the way, it's going to wrap up into your hook and it's going to cause problems. So all they would do is whip finish right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut mine a little bit shorter. I want mine a little bit shorter. They tend not to ride so far. When you get that short, I always turn my vise at a little bit of an angle, singe that back off. And again, on this fly, I forgot that tie in my wires, so we are going to do that right now. So we're going to tie in our wire. And then we're going to run it down and encase that body with our wire. And you can see it secures that body right down to the hook. And it doesn't produce a lot of weight, but it does give it a little bit of extra weight. And all the weight that you can add to this fly makes it the better. And again, fold that little wire down. Let's grab some dubbing. UV dubbing. And again, you can see how buggy it is. Get in there, we can see the backdrop. Wrap that over our thread and where our wire ends. Pull all the dubbing buggy material back, and you can see it just really follows along. And if you do that, you are going to have way more success. They love the little extra. They've been shown all these mops all over the place, and now stalker fish are kind of dumb. They're going to bite on most anything. But after they've been fished a while, they will become a little bit leery. And this gives them just a little bit of extra that they can see that they normally wouldn't see. I knocked the camera loose. It'll make it a little bit different. And the UV in the securing of this is going to make you have better bites. And the UV is going to attract them better. It's going to make them look a little bit more realistic and put on some good head cement. Guys, I know these are trash flies, but if you've never fished under an indicator with these, you're missing out. It's a lot of fun. It is not this big technical thing. It's just fun. Mass numbers of fish all day long. you will outfish people fishing with these. If you're fishing stalker fish and you see people out there, the guys fishing with minnows, with spoons, with different lures, with power bait, with all these different things, you come out here with these behind them and you're going to outdo them every time. I've never seen anything like it. They're awesome. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope this little modification will help you guys catch more fish. It has me, and like I say, this channel is about passing it along. I just want everybody to learn a little bit more, and if you guys have any ideas, throw them back at me. Let's all learn from each other. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.